Alright guys, today we are going to start the chess set project, and in doing the chess set project the whole goal is that you learn how to use Inventor, and that's why we're doing this. We're trying to do something a little bit fun, and yet using Inventor to do it and giving you all the steps you need along the way. If you look here in recent documents, you can see that I have made all of these pieces, plus the fidget spinner. Okay, you see that it's in projects for chess sets. We've already made a project for this. Now, even though I've made the base before, let's go ahead and double click on that. That will open up the base here. Now, the whole idea is we're going to make a chess set, and all chess sets have some feature to them that looks the same. I mean, a king doesn't look like a queen, but they all look like they come from the same chess set, and that's what we're going to do with the base. So every part that we make, every piece that we make, will have the same base. So we're going to use this as our generic base template, but I want to show you some stuff here. First off, you have your model menu here, and your model menu will show you different things that make up the part. Okay, and what happens if the model menu, if you accidentally close it and it looks like this? A lot of students ask me, how do I get that back? Well, let's look really quick. You have some control buttons here, and it'd be good to familiarize yourself with these. And these are the quick access toolbar stuff up here. But we don't need that. We actually need this here, these tabs. I'm going to select the View tab, and obviously there's a lot you can do here, but we only need one thing, and we need User Interface. Okay? User Interface, and then come down to where it says Model, and then click that, and your menu comes back. So if you ever lose that menu, go to View, User Interface, and then make sure that Model is selected. And then when you're done with that, come back down to the Sketch or the 3D Model tab, or whatever it is that you're working on at this point. Okay, so things here. These little arrows here open up these options and menus for you. So if I ever say click the arrow, this is what I mean. So let's talk about how to make the base. Okay, so here we have a base. This base is a revolution. So we look up extrude, revolve, sweep, loft, a lot of these different things. We used a revolve command to get this particular piece. Okay, and if you wanted to look at exactly how it was made, you hit the down arrow here, and here's the sketch for it. Now, if you double click it, it will open, or you can right click it and say Edit Sketch, and it brings up this. Now, if you double click your middle mouse button or the scroll wheel, it'll zoom all, and you can see what's been made here. So here we can see this dimension line says it's 0.625, that's 5/8 long. Then I have a 1/4 inch here, 0.25, and then what looks like 1/8 of an inch, or 0.125 here, 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 and then back up again, and then a line to close the profile, because if you want to make a revolution or if you want to make an extrusion, you have to have a closed loop or a closed profile. Okay, and then you would finish the sketch and then revolve it. So let's go ahead and make one of these. So I'm going to make a new part, come up and say new part up here, and I'm going to be using, of the templates I have, this one, standard IPT, it's in inches. You can see that here, inches, generic material, works great for me. So click this, click create, give that a second, and I will get a new part. Kind of nothing here. Well, if you want to draw something to be 3D, you need to start with the 2D. So you come up to where it says Start 2D Sketch. Now you could click the bottom and you could do 3D or 2D Sketch. Let's just stick with 2D Sketch. So instead of hitting the down arrow, I can just hit the top of it and it comes up. Notice there's multiple planes here, XY, YZ, and then XZ. The one you're most familiar with is going to be the XY, and I'm going to choose the XY plane here. It's the same one that we use in math, and I'm going to use my middle mouse button to click and drag it down. So because I like to draw in the first quadrant here, just kind of my habit. You don't have to, but it's the way that I work. Okay, now there is more than one way to make the base piece. The first way that I made the base piece was just using lines. So I click the line command. Now it's important to anchor everything to the origin point, and you can see how the mouse should turn green here, the little dot. I'm going to click and let go. That's important. Here's my line. Now if you notice, as I bring it down to the axis, it should just snap on me. There, it snapped. So you can see how it'll just pop to the axis as the computer's pretty smart and knows mostly what you want to do. Now I could try to freehand this to get 0.625, and I might even be able to do it, but it's just going to frustrate me as that's hard to do. So what I'm going to do instead is just type in on the keyboard 0.625, and when I hit enter, it's going to dimension this line and force it to be 0.625. Now I'm going to go ahead and finish drawing this, and I'm just going to make a series of lines, and I wanted it to be 0.25 up, a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to make a square here, 0.125. And then I'm going to come up and do it again, 0.125. I'm going to come over. Now I'm not going to, this one is automatically recognizing that I want it to be 0.125 since I already have a dimension there. So I'm not going to dimension it again. Then I'm going to come back up. Now in this case I do need a dimension, 0.125. Enter that again. And then I'm going to come back to the axis and notice that it wants to pop to the axis, and it's the same distance as the bottom line, and then I'll finish this off and create the profile. Okay, I'm going to right click and say OK to exit the command, and if you notice here in the bottom it is fully constrained. Your sketches for the most part need to be fully constrained, because if they're not, they can do some really weird things. But this isn't the image that we saw earlier. What we had was these square edges were rounded. Now the tool we're going to use that is called fillet. So I'm going to select the fillet tool here, click fillet, and but I don't want it to be 0.125. That's going to be too big because these are 0.125. That's going to be the entire half of this. So I want half of 0.125. Well, 0.125 is the mathematical expression of 1/8. Well, what's half of 1/8? 1/16 is half of 1/8. And because I am a carpenter, I know that this is 0.0625. If you add 625 plus 625, you'll get 0.125. So it's half of it. Now I don't hit enter here. I'm actually going to use the mouse and start pointing. And to make a fillet work, you have to click both lines that you want to round. So I'm going to click the top one and then the one below it. And here you see that this is a little circle with a line next to it. That is a tangent constraint. We're going to talk about constraints another day. But I found it's really important to do this in a certain order. A lot of students were getting messed up. So I'm clicking the corners I want. And I'm seeing some nice constraints all the way around. Okay, so parallel constraints, tangent constraint, and that's it. Now I'm done with this command, so I'm going to right click and say OK. It exits that command, and here I have the basic shape for the base. I'm done with it, so I'm going to finish my sketch. Now you can click revolve up here, you can click extrude. So let's see what happens if you extrude this. Automatically it's going to choose the profile because it's the only one there. And thankfully it's all looped together nice and it works. If you click the arrow, you can control where this goes. I have the mini toolbar set up. For the mini toolbar, you can select whatever direction you want. You can be direction 2, you could even be symmetric or asymmetric depending on what your needs are. These are also found in the extrude menu box up here. You can choose distances. There's a lot of options. We'll be able to play with that later. But we don't really want to extrude this, we want to revolve this, so I'm going to hit cancel. And I'm going to select revolve instead. So I'm going to move my menu so I can see here. Kind of move this where I can see it. If you want to drag an item on your screen, you click, you drag. Now I'm going to, the profile selected. Now I click the axis arrow. Select my axis arrow. Then I click OK. And there is the base part that has been made. And make sure you save your work. So we do File, Save As. Now because we let me make sure I'm doing this right. Yep, this puts it in my project folder. And then I would save it as base, or you could even say maybe base template. Doesn't hurt to have a couple copies of this in case you accidentally write over it. And then you would just click Save. I've already done that. I don't need two of them. So that is how you make the base piece.